I'm also a person who is an avid, I wouldn't call it fan or interested in hidden history. I don't think this is what they've told us is not true. And I'm not talking about 6,000 years ago. I'm talking hundreds of thousand years ago.
In that thought, I go way back, like millions and millions of years.
And so, when you really look at the grand scheme of things of with that thinking that could possibly be a possibility, our consciousness, why would you want to trap that in some kind of a computer that you're never going to get out of? I mean, you talk about hell.
Welcome back to the Eye of Jupiter. I'm your host, Tom Franklin. Today we have on authors, two people today. We have on the wonderful Joseph Hallett, and returning to the Eye of Jupiter, the wonderful D.A. Wysong. And we're going to get into UFOs today, and I'm looking forward to that. If you are looking forward to coming back to the Eye of Jupiter, please do me a favor, like, subscribe to the channel, check to see if you are still like and subscribed if you already have, because YouTube does like to mess with the algorithm. And all links are in the description below. Become a member, all that good stuff. All that out of the way, let's get right into it. Let's welcome to the show Joseph Hallett and D.A. Wysong. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us back.
Well, but it's my pleasure to have you back. You wrote me and you were like, I got to come back on and I want to bring this gentleman with me. And I was like, well, that's definitely going to happen. So how's it been? D.A.? How are you?
I have been doing fantastic and just writing up a fury, and just finished my last book of my Monster Hunter series, and kind of doing a little downtime, doing some marketing, and been working on a collection of short stories. So it's my first take on the anthology of madness. So it's, getting in there and getting kind of twisty, getting into a little bit of sci-fi and old-fashioned horror. So to be my first time to write that genre. So
go ahead and introduce yourself for people who may not remember you, Dia. Who are you and what
I am a paranormal author and researcher of 55 books, including my best-selling series, The Monster Hunters of America. Just finished the last book, Hunting for Tulpas, which is still number 2. I've literally got 26 books on the bestsellers. I just checked. I couldn't even believe it. So almost all of the entire series is on the top 100. So if you like adventure and exploration and discovery and cryptids and UFOs and everything that goes bump in the night, check out my books, because they are doing really, really well. And they're now on audio. So I've been doing a little marketing and working hard on behind the scenes and doing stuff like that. So
awesome. And you said, Tom, I want to come back on, and I want to bring on this gentleman, Joe. Joe, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm an author. I have 7 books published, and probably Friday I'll have my 8th, the Stellaris Fracture. Should drop. I'm hoping. I mean, you never know, but I'm hoping to drop it for release on Friday, the day after tomorrow. So.
Fantastic. All the links in the description, guys. If you want to go and get Joseph's books or find them, or go and get DA's books, all links in the description. Go ahead and check them out. So, guys, what are we going to get into today? It's always, you never know. DA is such a encyclopedia of, like, we talked about vampires last time, and this time we're going to talk about UFOs. So how do we start? Where do we start?
Well, you go ahead, Joseph, because you're the one that Joseph's an experiencer. He also works in aerodynamics, so he is really an interesting guy to talk with. So I've learned a lot from him, really, on the end of UFOs and sci-fi in general. That's the kind of genre his forte is. So I think we should start with him.
Fantastic, Joseph. So you had some UFO encounters. Could you do me a favor, kind of walk me into it chronologically? What were you doing? Where were you? And what happened?
Okay, so this was in Alaska. I lived on a homestead just north of Wasilla, Alaska, and it was. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
we called it Baldy Mountain. I don't know what the real name of the mountain was. It probably could be Baldy, but it may not even have a name. Alaska's so big, you don't name everything. But I was living on a homestead north of Wasilla, and I was about 7-ish. It's hard to remember. But I was coming home from town with my stepfather, riding in the truck, and we lived on the other side of the valley, and there's a ridge that looks over the whole valley, and I could see where my house was on the other side of the valley. It was about 2 or 3 miles away, and I'm just staring off and watching this side of the road or whatever, like little kids do, not paying attention. And my stepdad slammed on the brakes and pulled over, and he's like, "Look," and he points, across to the other side of the valley, and there's this cigar shape is what people would say, but it wasn't round. It reminded me of the proportions of a train, like a train engine. Those proportions, but huge. It was very, very big. Like I said, across the valley, like if you put your thumb out, it'd be as wide as your thumb across the valley, and it was kind of orange and had like 2 black things underneath it, and rectangular, but I would say 4 or 5 times the physical size of a train engine. And it was completely silent, and it just coasted below the ridge line, slowly across through the valley, and just drifted off out of sight. It took about 5 minutes, and I'm 7. I lived in Alaska till I was 12, and we lived in the bush, and there's not a lot of well, we got a TV channel. Channel, I think it was. And I wasn't really into reading too much. I didn't have access to a lot of books. We had a school library, obviously, but just not a lot of variety. So I wasn't getting any external information to form what this thing was. I didn't know. I didn't know that UFOs was a thing.
Okay.
But what year was that, like, Joe? So
let's see here. Probably I was born in 72, so 77, 78.
Was it horizontal, or was it perpendicular?
It was horizontal. It just kind of like slowly drifted.
Because I just got to kind of, I don't want to say what I got. So someone just reached out to me, and they sent me, it's the most amazing UFO picture I've ever seen. And it was in Arizona, and this is just recently. And they're coming on next week to talk to me about it. And this thing was vertical this way.
Okay.
And it was, wow. It's so far away. It looks like, you could think maybe it's the Elon, the satellite thing, but it's wide. Yeah. Right. But it's wide, and it has edges on it. And there's a picture from far away, and you see he's zoomed on it. This thing has to be, man, if I had to take a guess, maybe a mile wide. And I would say something like 10 to 15 miles long, if not longer.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what to think. Yeah, it's coming up after this one, guys. So when you said train engine, I've heard this before. Where people. So could you describe? Why would you mean train engine? Are you seeing like little
there's angles? It wasn't like a smooth surface. It had like angles on it, and like, I don't know, rib spars or whatever, just odd shape, but it was definitely rectangular, with the same rough dimensions as you would a train engine, but scaled up like huge. And then there's like
it was orange.
It was orange rust ish.
Whoa.
And with like weird these black platform things underneath it. I mean, I not that I would know what to call them if I knew what they were, I don't know.
Right.
But the whole thing, and it was like really surreal. My stepdad, when we stopped and we were watching it, once we couldn't see anymore, he just got in the truck because we got out and we're watching it. And then when it was gone, we just got into the truck and drove back home and really didn't say a word about it after that. Like, I didn't know what questions to ask. I was like, okay, that's cool. But from a 7-year-old brain, I didn't really have that large of a pool to draw from or to question.
Now, he was in the military, wasn't he?
My real dad was in the military. My stepdad was a guide. So
okay.
He would take rich hunters out. And
did anyone else, was there anything in the newspaper or anything spoken throughout the town, or it was just, and you never spoke?
Not that I'm aware of, and I didn't read the newspaper back then.
And you didn't spoke about this again? You never spoke to him about it again?
He never spoke about it. He didn't say a word after we got back into the truck. We just drove back home, and it was like nothing ever happened. But it made a clear impression on me because it was just something I had never experienced before. Now, it might have been his first experience, but it was weird. It was just like after it went away, it was like, all right, let's just go home, and nothing else was said about it.
That's so strange. Have you heard anything like this, DA, before? You ever heard anything where it looks like that?
No. But I do find it interesting that's why I asked him what year that was, because during that time, the ones that I researched were always the, round ones. You didn't, although there were a couple like in the 80s where you did start seeing something more rectangular. And, that's really why I chose to write the UFO agenda in Alaska, because I definitely think that's a base of where a lot of our own technology is coming from, and around the Mount Rainier mountains, actually, that particular region. I think that it's almost like a hub, a base. What do you think, Joseph?
Yeah, I'd agree. Not knowing what I was looking at, I could have possibly saw a lot more UFOs in my life than I realized, because in Alaska is dark a lot, and so you spend a lot of time looking in the night sky. It's overcast a lot, but when it's nighttime and not overcast, the stars are spectacular because there's no light pollution, and you can see everything. And so, not having a knowledge base of what things are in the sky, aside from those are stars, I didn't even think I knew about satellites back then. And so looking into the sky, I've probably seen UFOs and just didn't even recognize that it was weird.
How far, where you lived, how far was that from the Mount Rainier area?
Well, Mount Rainier's in Washington, so I'm closer to it now.
But it's not that, but it's only like, isn't that like 50 miles away from where Alaska is?
No, it's a little bit farther, but the South Puget Sound is like Juneau and Sitka area is pretty far from where I lived.
And there's just so many UFO activity that when I did my research, it's massive in Alaska. Like there's so many different like sightings and stuff, and the anomalies of Alaska are just incredible.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff in Alaska. We have our own Alaskan triangle.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of this.
There's an area that I think it goes up to Fairbanks, where a lot of weird, mysterious things happen. UFO sightings, disappearances, a lot of different disappearances of people.
What part of Alaska are you? How far are you outside of, say, Juneau or Anchorage?
I was north of Anchorage, about 50 miles.
Okay, so I know where you are. Cool. You're like basically smack dab in the middle, not that far away from the largest city there. And you guys were just up there, just living your life. Your stepfather was a guide for what, like hunting?
Yeah,
for hunting
guide.
Yeah,
he's a hunting guide. Yeah, it sounds great until.
Yeah, please continue.
It sounds great until you are, 6 years old, being dragged through the mountains. When you don't want to be there, you just want to play at home. But no, he just took me along. But it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because he taught me bushcraft and that sort of thing, and he taught me a lot.
Did you ever see Bigfoot out there?
It's funny you should ask. No.
Oh.
I would have expected, and that's the thing, is like Bigfoot probably saw me, but I didn't see him. And now we're trying to figure out the name of this little creature. I called them brownies, but when I was playing in the woods, I would get that feeling that I'm being watched and by something. So I'd look around, and every once in a while I'd see a glimpse of like a little statured creature thing, and I called it a brownie.
So something you for the people listening. So his hands moved are about a foot in height. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, it's just little guys.
Can you describe
only a glimpse? It'd be like hiding behind a tree, and I'd catch it, and I wouldn't really sure if I saw it or not, or if I imagined it. But it happened enough that I think I saw something. And
I was asking Joseph what the proper name of those. In my book, I think it's Ericron, and they are supposed to be just the size of a child, right? Like maybe like a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old. Is that about the height you saw?
No, it was pretty small, like maybe 1.5 feet. But who knows? Wow. It could have been, a juvenile. I don't know.
What did they look like, Joseph?
I didn't get very good details out of it. It's like I saw a roughly humanoid shape wearing like furish kind of clothing. It wasn't like I wasn't seeing a full-on person. I saw something that looked humanoid hiding behind a tree when I looked at it.
So that
would happen pretty frequently.
That's interesting. I was speaking to a gentleman. I can't think of his name. His name was Thomas Seward, and he is a First Nations person in Canada. And he told me, yeah, there's Sasquatch everywhere here, but there's also these little ones. And I never got to talk to him about that because that's up that area. He's like northern Vancouver Island, and on the other side on the mainland, that's the area that his people are from. And he was like, yeah, we got these people. And they have the names that are in his native tongue. And I wonder if you're seeing the same things. Like you also hear people on the East Coast talk about Pukwudgies.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Now that I know what a Pukwudgie is, that's what I would call it. Maybe like a northern Alaskan Pukwudgie.
Yeah, I actually wrote a book that Ron Murphy actually turned me on to that, the Pukwudgies, and they are it's all in the elemental kingdom. You know what I mean? And it's really they're really very mischievous, and they can be benevolent. They can lure they really don't care for humans too much. Pukwudgies don't. Yeah, they don't care for us humans too much, and they can be pretty honoring.
So a Pukwudgie is a legendary 2 to 3 foot tall, gray-skinned humanoid from I can't pronounce his word.
Winnebago.
Wampanoag. And someone's screaming at the screen right now. Native American folklore, known for their large noses, ears, fingers. These mischievous and often malicious beings possess magical abilities such as invisibility, shape-shifting, and the power to shoot poison arrows. I don't know, it might be something different.
In that particular forest, there's a swamp. So they really do. In that particular area, there's a lover's leap, and it's been known that they will lure people to that. It's almost like they do have that telepathic ability. There may be the person that's in there is already depressed or going through a love loss of some type, and that they can lure those particular people off to, I think it's called lover's leap. And so they're ornery like that. And a lot of people believe that it's because they keep your soul when they can get you to jump. Then it's food for them. It's like a fuel for them energetically.
So they have something similar here that's called an Alux, and that's what it's ALUX. And this is like something that is conjured to protect the property of the Mayans. And I've had a run-in with them, and they kind of like to throw rocks at you. They're mischievous. They kind of protect the land. They also like could you, baby, the cat.
Your cat's telling a tale. He's seen one too.
It's her cat. That cat talks more than 9 cats. And I
That's
call
how
him.
my cat is too. Since she had her baby, she is
His
like
name
a
is
human.
Nacho. I call him terrorist. He's a terrorist. And I call him not. I call him Osama bin Nacho because his name is Nacho.
That's funny.
And he is. Don't leave food on the table, and that's not for me. But it's just yeah. So they have. So this is a very famous area for that. And I hear stories of people who they'll there was one story, a friend of mine. So it was his uncle and his uncle's friend. They were out in one of these larger backyards, like a half acre, where it's still like kind of, forested, jungle like, and there's a lot of caves here. And they kept hearing something in the corner of the property. And the guy goes, check this out. He takes out a little like glass of beer, sets it down, takes a cigarette and sets it next to it. And this thing came out, took a hit off the cigarette, started drinking, and the friend just took off running. And they both came down with a fever that lasted for about 2 to 3 weeks. And I've actually heard it where people have perished from these fevers. They'll go down into the caves here, and the Spanish call it mal viento, so like bad winds or evil winds. And they'll go down there and they'll come back with like a crink in their neck and a fever. And there's been stories of people who've actually perished. Or there was another one he was telling me where they stole corn because the Aluxes, they protect the Mayans' corn. And they're actually like made of like so they conjured them over like a 7-day thing. It's corn with mud and blood and some type of ritualistic type magic. And after 7 days, this form disappears and they're there to protect the property. So he was living close to a new like residential area here in Mexico. And he went into like, there's a road that went down and it had like, he said it was like a tunnel where the vegetation was growing over the road. So him and his friend went in like down the road about a half kilometer or whatever, half mile, went in the woods, grabbed about 6 ears of corn, and all of a sudden they heard something chasing them. So they ran, and as they were running, they stopped and turned around. He said it looked like the forest was coming down the tunnel and moving towards him, like and he took the corn and threw it down, and it stopped, and they ran to their house. So this place is spooky, bro. It's very spooky.
Are you saying that people like they kind of worship these deities into existence?
The Mayans did, yes, because this is before.
That sounds like a typical egregore, what I would call an egregore.
Yeah. Yes. It's something like that. There's another word I can't think of it right now.
Servitor,
like a homunculus kind of like thing, where it's like conjured into existence kind of thing.
Like a servitor would be somebody to do their bidding, like protect the corn. Yeah.
I was talking to a mechanic here, right? And I was waiting for my car to get fixed and my truck to get fixed. I was talking to Joseph about the shitty truck that I bought when I got here. And I was getting the starter rebuilt. And he was like, hey, America, do. And he was really cool. And he was showing me all the deer hunting he did and all the pictures and stuff. And he goes, what do you do? I go, well, I got this podcast. And he goes, oh, have you heard about Aluxes? And I go, yeah. He goes, trust me, dude, they're real. Like, what do you mean? I didn't bring it up. He brought it up. And he was like, yeah, anytime you're out there in the woods and I have my rifle and I'm near like a hillside for whatever, there's a lot of little hills here. You're in the middle of the forest and you'll get rocks thrown at you all the time. And I had one thrown at me. It's
crazy.
Or you'll hear like voices. I've heard voices here. I've seen lights here. It's quite it's a weird place. But once I said, I'm not here to harm the land. I'm here to help the land, but you can stay. Just don't mess with us. Mm-hmm. Ever since then, we haven't had any issues. But when I first moved out there, it's a half a mile off any road down a mud path. I mean, if it's raining heavily, you ain't getting back there with a truck, even with 4-wheel drive. So it's one of those kind of places. And Joseph, I wanted to ask you a question.
It's interesting, isn't it? How all the cultures around the world have these magical beings, and they're all connected to the elemental kingdoms. But as a researcher, I follow patterns, and the whole time from the beginning, from when we were talking about the Pukwudgies on down to what Joseph was talking about in the woods, is they are there. These elemental kingdom is there. These beings are to protect the land. And you know what else it sounds like? Bigfoot. Who else throws rocks? They shapeshift. They change form. I definitely believe Bigfoot is part of the elemental kingdom for sure. And I think that because they can shapeshift, they could even possibly shapeshift into that. Like a dryad, is a type of an elemental that is connected to the trees. And what do we have with Bigfoot? They knock on the trees. They're always near the trees. When Joseph had his encounter, they were near the trees. You were in the forest. They were all around in the trees. It's the patterns. It's the same thing, you know? So I do believe
Yeah,
Bigfoot is an
you can see here
elemental.
like absolutely. It's nothing speaking against that for sure, but you can see here it's all throughout Mayan culture. You can see it's here carved into stone.
Oh, yeah.
This is what they kind of look like. They got a big Buddha belly. They're about 2 to 3 feet tall. They even build little houses for them. There was a overpass. Here's one in a tree here. I don't know if you see that. Here's one supposedly in the tree when they were building the train Maya through the middle of the forest here, and it's very common in the culture down here. And I've had people who've seen them. I've had people come to me and talk about them. It's one of those things. Oh, I guess we're gonna do it like this now, huh? Okay, we'll do it like this then. I liked it the way it
Yeah.
was.
We're just all over the place.
How do I get that back? There we go. Hey, there we go. I'm learning. I'm still because I normally never do it with 2 other guests. So for me, it's very interesting. Joseph, I want to know what got you into being an author about these kind of things. Did something else happen to you, or did like just through time the cat got the best of you, or whatever that word that saying is? What got you into this?
Well, I did have another UFO encounter when I was
Okay
here in Washington in 1990. And now that I'm a little older and I was into this stuff before I saw the 1990 UFO. Mostly because when you see something weird like that when you're a kid, you never really forget about it, and it just works in your mind. And as I got older and more exposed to books and that sort of thing, I was just drawn to it, drawn to the mystery of what are they, where do they come from. All of that was just intensely intriguing. And I listened to Art Bell and,
oh yeah
so I was really into it. But, so in 1990, I was outside of my apartment with my girlfriend at the time. And from behind me, the green fireball sphere flew across the Auburn Valley. This is in Auburn, Washington, and directly over the little regional airport that there is, and it was right over the trees. I mean, we got the glow from it passing over us, and so maybe 60 feet above me, and it was about this size of 2 Volkswagen Bugs put together. So it was that spherical, like 12, 15 feet diameter, glowing green, like almost electric looking patterns on it, but completely silent. And, of course, then it happened, and I'm like, did you see that? Interrupting our conversation. I'm like, did you see that? She says, yeah. Then I ran down into my house through the back door to where some of my roommates were. I'm like, did you see that? And they're like, no, see what? So they didn't see it, but me and my girlfriend at the time did. And so that, of course, reinforces, I knew that it wasn't identifiable, right? I couldn't figure out what it was. So it's obviously an unidentified flying object, or UAP as they like to put it now, which is kind of gross. I don't like.
Yeah, this is one of those UFO podcasts. Old school.
We don't do UAP.
Yeah, that's right. Tell them, DA.
That's a government term. Just saying.
Right.
Exactly.
So my UFO sighting was that, and of course reinforcing my need to know. I'm super hooked by then. I did report it to the UFO reporting database, UFORC, I believe it's called. And so I did make an actual UFO report. I don't think many people do, but there's Peter Davenport, I think his name is, that runs the database. Anyway, And I looked it up if other people had seen it, and there were a couple other sightings of this green fireball. So that, my first two, my sighting in Alaska and my sighting in Washington did a lot to make me just want to be involved in this topic. So yeah, I don't have like a lot of books, but there's always some kind of little reference here and there to like a UFO, especially in my first two, Emergence Collective, and in my Arkship trilogy. There's some hints of UFOs just being a common thing.
Yeah, it seems to be on the upswing for sure. Only time I've seen two things. Just to let you know, like, so one time when I first got my telescope, I went out to a field looking to get away from light pollution. I actually went to the light pollution map, which is what I like to do. It's just shows you how much fun I have on weekends. And so I bought a telescope. This is awesome, isn't it? And so me and my ex-wife at the time, my daughter, we took my telescope and walked into the woods about 10 minutes. And it's this old, it's in Germany. It's an old army field they used to practice their tanks on and things like that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is a good spot. Open sky. It's on top of a hill. And I was able to see, well, so before I saw Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, look at the telescope first time, blew my mind. It's always different seeing it in in your eye than it is someone telling you. Yeah, it's so much better. And I got to see the the 4 Galilean moons of whatever Callisto cool. And all those. Yeah. So right over top the wood line, about 200 yards away, is a pine tree forest, and I just was looking there, and I don't remember if she's seen it or not, but I remember looking there, and I just seen like this orange ball. It was maybe the distance it was. I guess it was the size of, oh my god. Yeah, I guess the size of a car, maybe like you're saying, like a VW, but it was orange, but it wasn't bright and it wasn't quite dark yet. But you could see it, and it just kind of blooped into existence, kind of moved around left and right, and I'd seen it. I've seen the same thing on a video one time where this African American gentleman said, "Oh, I can call him into existence." He goes, and he just sat there and thought about it, and then the camera looked up, and you seen it in the sky. It's a famous video, and I seen the same thing. And it makes me wonder, so like, what is the implications of that? So I've always been interested in these kind of things, and now the first time I take a telescope out, it's going to be like, "Hi, we're here," kind of situation. And then once here in Mexico, I saw on the back of my truck clouds in the sky, like what it was like, this big cumulonimbus mixed in with some cirrus clouds and stuff. And you seen that I was sitting in the back of my truck with my daughter. We were renting this house when I first got here, and you see like a white thing, like pinhead size, go into a cloud, come out the other side, and then make a 90-degree turn and then go away at a distance. So I've seen things too, but nothing where it's like, you hear people where they talk about, like there's static electricity in the air. I had on the gentleman who had Monster Quest, Doug Highcheck, and the things that happened in his neighborhood. Nothing, like that, but it seems to be on the upsweep. If you had to make a guess, I guess I'll start with Joe. Like, what do you think these things are?
Well, they're not human. I know what they're not. Definitely extraterrestrial for sure. I think the orbs might be entities in themselves, not like little piloted crafts. I think the smaller orbs are just that entity, that energy, intelligence. They seem elf-like and playful. I mean, you've seen all the videos, right? They're dancing around. There's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing.
You see this a lot with Bigfoot sightings too. I'm sorry to cut you off, buddy, but you see a lot of Bigfoot sightings where people will see orbs like everywhere, orange ones. Like you were saying, you said green. They're saying orange and yellow orbs, and then they'll see. Then there'll be a Bigfoot sighting too. You're like, what's that all about? Or UFO at the same time. Like it seems to be all like connected in a weird whatever way. You don't think they're possibly interdimensional? Because extraterrestrial means that's what I'm thinking too.
but
Yeah, we're
look at
interrupting you
this
here, buddy.
really closely. Look at how this is the vehicle, but do you
That
see
looks like the Phoenix
orb?
Lights. Yeah.
That is Bigfoot inside the orbs. I believe
Okay.
that's how they transport, and I believe they are interdimensional.
Right.
So
Yes.
I'm going to piss a lot of people off because
That's okay.
I've been thinking a lot and long and hard about it's, and it's not really anybody's fault, but dimensions are not different places to me and to physics.
Right.
So you can't be. We are all already interdimensional. Dimensions are the stage of which the universes play upon. So when people say interdimensional creature, actually, I think that they mean another reality, a different realm, a different world, a different universe, multi-universe.
Well, definitely, that's what it is.
But when you say interdimension, I'm not going to say, how dare you? Dimensions are directions. They're spaces.
Right.
So when you come from a different universe, you're from the third dimension in that universe because it's the same third dimension, but it's a different reality entirely, a different universe. So it's just I'm not really upset. It's like for some reason it kind of like irks on me that they're not. We're all interdimensional because we're all in the same dimension. If you see a creature from space, right, standing in front of you, it's in the third dimension, and we're in the same third dimension. But it may have came from a different universe.
See, I disagree with that because if you look up the definition of interdimensional, did you know that angels and demons fall under that classification of interdimensional because they do come from different realms? And it's most probably the fourth and fifth dimension and up higher. And of course, we're in the third dimension. So those little orbs and stuff, I do think is a type of transportation. I mean, if you look at the definition of what an angel looked like biblically, they were crazy, and they kind of fit the description of these plasmoids that we're seeing floating around. Remember about a year ago, they were everywhere. And what I find very telling, and I'm very skeptical to say that the government doesn't have a thing to do with this, because if this is all really happening and we're seeing this triangular, UFO or this VW orange, UFO and so on, why is our government allowing that? Why aren't they, worried about these sightings invading our aerospace? It makes no sense to me at all.
It's
I believe that they are in cahoots with whatever we're experiencing. And some of it, I think, is our own technology. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, it's like if the government comes out and says, my point of view is that if the government comes out and says, yeah, these things are real, but we have no power over them, it makes them look in a position of non-power, and when they do that, that creates panic. And when
it goes against what our military defense is supposed to be doing, protecting us from foreign invasion. So I mean, we could go down a real rabbit hole with all that. Yeah. I do believe they're working with these entities, whatever you want to call them, interdimensional beings. The Collins elite that were hired back in the 60s and 70s, all the way up until the late 90s, were basically the Pentagon hired this group of religious scholars, and very little. The first person I heard talk about the Collins elite was Nick Redfern, and that's not even their real term, is the Collins elite. And it was because the Pentagon realized that after a couple decades, since the treaty with Eisenhower, they were working with demons, and they wanted to learn how to weaponize them. They knew exactly what they were dealing with, and they didn't know how to deal with them. That's why they hired the Collins elite. They know exactly what they're doing, and that's how they're getting their technology. So when we're seeing all these things, Yeah, we're seeing them, but really, is it our own technology? Look,
Okay.
just think about it. Look how far, we've been advanced as a
Yeah.
humanity, but really, these extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, whatever you want to call them, space invaders. Look at the Roswell crash at that particular saucer. Isn't it interesting how we never see those anymore? Now we're seeing rectangular ones that are 3 miles, ones that are glowing, ones that are doing orange, ones that are, up and down, vertical, horizontal. They're all, it's because it's of the technology that has been given to us in exchange for human lives to do whatever they
Okay.
wanted to do. 6,000 a year to be exact. To do whatever they wanted. Make
Joseph?
it human trafficking, off planetary, hybridization, food, whatever.
What's your take on what's your take on that, Joseph?
I think it's possibly an all of the above scenario, because we know, like MJ12, they was or keeping the secret about contacting the Greys, and the contract with stealing or abducting people in exchange for technology. But if you assume that there's only one race or species of extraterrestrials, that would kind of make a lot of sense. But World War II, the very moment we had achieved nuclear power, bombs were dropping. Our enemies were getting crushed. We had the upper hand and we used it. I think today it would be the same thing, except for not a nuke, but a UFO. If we had UFOs, we were given them, or we reverse engineered it, and we are able to utilize that technology, you fucking use it. We would,
like Bob Lazar type situation.
yeah. Right. So I don't think that humanity has quite got to the point where we can manufacture an army of these, or we would use them. So yeah, we can see them and they're there, but it's as soon as we have the technology to reproduce it, the wars are over, because he who has the biggest stick rules. And there's a lot of really crazy leadership out there that are waiting for that big stick.
Right.
I personally think that all the world governments are in cahoots with their own particular race of what we want to call an alien. And
Great point.
Speaking of World War II, that's where my Monster Hunters of America is. The origins is Nazi Germany.
Right.
And it is very clear. It's a really good book. It's it's been out there for 3 years, and it's still in the top 50 every single day, up there with The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It's a really well book. It's a good book. It's got a lot of research, but I believe that that's why Hitler and why Nazi Germany were so advanced in their technology, because Hitler was the first world leader to work with that technology.
More than willing to give up a few human souls for trades of technology.
Not to mention the occult angle that he was in on. People
always
want to kind of put that under the rug, man. I want to ask you guys,
and not to mention,
Sure.
Then when you go into book 2, Unleashed, is when she flees from Germany and comes to the OSI with all this, information, basically, and then come to find out they're in league with the devil here too. You know what I mean? Which later becomes the CIA. But they're all in cahoots. I mean, that's what Project Paperclip was all about.
Mm-hmm.
All the Nazis came over here. We have Plum Island. They're doing all these mad experiments, hybrids.
There's
that's
a saying.
Where Lyme disease came from.
There's a saying that if you know Sam Tripoli at all, he's one of my heroes when it comes to this kind of thing. He said the Nazis didn't lose the war; Germany lost the war.
Yeah,
because when Werner von Braun, or Werner von Braun, however you say it in English, Werner von Braun, when he came, I don't know how they say it. I can only pronounce it in German. When he came over and he had the V2 bomb, the buzz bomb, he came over. He was seen as a hero, and he's like, no, this guy was a freaking SS
He was a
officer.
Nazi.
Yeah, he was an SS officer, and people just fail to realize. I want to get your guys' take on it. It happened, I think, twice now, but it really about maybe a year ago. No, a little less than a year ago, maybe. There was this huge amount of sightings over New Jersey and surrounding states of these. They call them drones, but they made no sense. What is your take? Yeah, what is your take on that, Joe?
It's not kind of complicated, but not. But
okay.
it's all kind of related to what we've already been talking about. I think there's been contact made with various governments with multiple species of extraterrestrials. I think that our government isn't hiding information so much as told not to until they're ready for us to be ready, which is coming and very soon, because there's, the litmus test is, are we seeing more and more and more and more sightings? Now we're getting, if we had that New Jersey incident in 1980,
oh my God,
blown their minds.
Absolutely.
Right. But we're getting desensitized. We're the boiling frog. We're just slowly warming up and getting used to the temperature, and it's ramping up. And there's going to be a time, and I've heard, of course, 2027, but everybody likes to throw out dates, but it's kind of looking like in the next year or two, there's going to be something official, and not just a congressman, holding a skiff or whatever. It's going to be, real, undeniable, unshakable fact that they do exist and they are here. And that's they're just waiting for the world population to be ready, because it's not an American thing. It's a global thing. We don't know what's going on in China. They don't, or North Korea. They don't tell us anything about what's going on. So it could be, double what we know of out there already, and it's getting more. So I think the New Jersey thing was not really a show of force, but just a show of existence on a scale that's hard to reconcile. A lot of the drones, quote unquote, and they're quoting them, they're calling them drones because they don't know what else to call it. Nothing landed and walked out and say, well, pound on this, nuts and bolts there. These are not American or human-made drones. I think that the majority, yes, there are drones out there looking at the non-drone drones. So I think I think it's just one of those things that it's a stepping stone. They're building up the resistance. We're getting used to seeing this stuff now.
Right. It's right. There's a lot of I'm not even a religious guy, but there's a lot of like satanic stuff being thrown out there. Just all the music is so hypersexual. And I'm a metalhead, guys. You heard my intro. I love metal. I play guitar. Bye, baby. Okay. And I love it. And for years there, bands like Slayer and stuff, I just always thought that was silly stuff. I never got into that. But you see it now, it has kind of pushed itself over into the pop culture. It's like they had that. Was it not Travis Bickle? That's the guy from Taxi Driver. But there was this Travis concert where it was a black gentleman, and it was all satanic, and a lot of people. Travis Scott, thank you. DA, look at you all. You got your pulse. You got your finger on the pulse of America. And you see this slow rolling out of accepting ideas that in the past would be completely unaccepted. So it's so oh my God, the German word hit my fetish. It's so many avenues of approach at the same time to get us desensitized. Everything. If you agree with
and with
whatever
that concert, it was the hertz that was coming through, which is a very low vibrational hertz for the music that was literally zoning them out into zombie
Mhm.
land, like where it would. That's why there was so much fighting, and it's just that people described it as it felt surreal. It was like they were being hypnotized. They were
Yeah.
literally
I mean,
being
They
hypnotized.
were.
just to give you like a little bit of like an idea, like I'm a metal guy, so I go to metal concerts like all the time when I was young. In Germany, I mean, mosh pits, wall of death, let's go, And even in the mosh pit, when someone fell down, they would be picked up, and if they didn't, there's been so many times where the band would stop, and they would say,
Yeah.
either you pick him up or we're done, and they get off the stage. And then I would go to with my African American friends in the military. Hey man, let's go to a hip hop place. There was always some fisticuffs going on, always. And it's just like I thought the music I listened to was the evil stuff.
Right.
It's not. It's in the 432 to 440 shift. When they changed the music to make
Yes.
because 432 is in harmonization.
Rockefeller.
It's divided by 8 in harmonization with the planet, and then the music is now where it makes you uncomfortable. It's really interesting.
It really focuses on the male population to cause aggressiveness.
Mm.
It really it targets that nervous system in men specifically that makes them aggressive.
It's a suppression of positive male things like protecting your family, standing up for rights, having
Like
a weapon
not
in your
good
house.
aggression.
Right. And then making the women population. You see all the superhero movies, it's just women beating the hell out of guys. And you're just like, I'm okay, And then so they'll go, men are bad. And then they'll go, by the way, this too, what you're saying, so they want to suppress the positive male things, which there are, and then raise the negative male things, and then women go, then the cycle feeds itself. We're in a loop of like being like, if you go on Facebook and you're just like, you agree with whatever it is, then you'll be thrown into this, this algorithm of just seeing that thing, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Some of it's like yes,
and then they act like that men being men are a toxic masculinity, which is not true. And what's happening is that men are giving into that thought and then becoming more feminine, which they're not protecting their families. They're not doing leadership. They're not.
Then you have the men on the spectrum who are a little bit more, even say, for example, they are a little bit more quote unquote toxic. Remember, words.
There are.
Human, right. Remember what language is. Language is symbols like runes that are also ideas and concepts and sounds put together. So if you change that concept and idea, then you change the vibration. And then you people who are a little bit more on the spectrum, who are more aggressive, become more aggressive. And then they go, look, there it is. And the rest of us, the ones in the middle, like myself and Joe and whoever.
We're like looking like what?
And then you have the betas. Like,
there's actually I can't remember the terminology, but what you just described is an academia that is a terminology that they use. And the powers that be use our language against us. Yes. And that is the beginning of the fall of civilization as we know it, because nothing is what it is anymore. They just completely rewrite what our terms and meanings and language means to where you don't even know what.
It's 1984.
You don't even want to say it, because you're going to say it wrong. It's
exactly. And we are. I love how we're just touching around the circles. Joe, go ahead, please, buddy.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, definitely 1984.
Yeah. Like where the truth is now the dangerous thing.
Right,
and to say the truth, you are then marginalized. Yeah. I want to say, I don't give a shit who likes it. Honestly, this is my channel. I have a daughter, and she's really trying hard to be a basketball player. She really loves playing basketball. It's her thing. It gets her in the community, and it's awesome. And the kids now are playing together because they're 8, 9, 10 years old. It's no big deal. But when you get to a certain level, I do not want her to be playing with dudes.
Right.
And that's all I got to say on that. Because what is her motivation when she gets there and they're just like, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything anyway. It's beyond the pale on that, it's beyond the pale, my opinion. And remember, the pale, guys, is Dublin, and beyond the pale is outside of Dublin, just for the people.
Hey, I do wanted to put a little gesture in there concerning the drones in New Jersey.
Oh yes,
my
please.
take on that. I just think it was a dress rehearsal. I don't really even believe it was actually. I don't believe it was otherworldly. It was just like almost. Well, first of all, I think it's just like a PSYOP, and I believe that it was just like the Miami, where the
the whole incident. Yeah,
it was just like that. They're just wanting our reaction. Okay, so just like with the Epstein files. What are we really going to do about it if they are aliens? What are we really going to do? Nothing. They're not worried about getting us.
What do you think COVID was?
They're not worried about what our reactions are going to be because they are the powers that be. They are they're all this technology that we're seeing, most of it, I think they're just showing off. I think they're just like, look what we got. You know what I mean? Just like the UFO disclosure with Steven Spielberg. Now, do you know, I know for a fact, because I listen to this stuff, and I have a memory that's like a steel trap. But originally, he was going to release that on 4th of July, that movie. That was if you go looking back, you can probably Google it. And then all of a sudden, with the disclosure and the congressional hearings, then all of a sudden he was going to announce it when the UFO files came out. Yeah. It's all a stage. They're all in it together. Spielberg, did you know that when he did the first one, what was it, The Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Dr. Hynek from Project Bluebeam was his consultant. Can't make this shit up.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's why he knew. He was on the inside. He knew it wasn't because he had this. He is a genius, but it was because he had the inside trader knowledge. He was getting it straight from Dr. Hynek, which later, actually, his whole goal for Project Bluebeam was to call us conspiracy theorists and to shoot anybody down that had an experience. But do you know, at the end, of his domain, he actually stood up to the United States government and said, I'm out. And he actually became a believer.
Yes. Yep. Jacques Vallée was the French doctor on the Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes. Yes. And the world is a stage. We are sitting here. It's like we're in this big coliseum watching it all go down. It's all bullshit. So if you ever get freaked out about it, we can't change any of it anyway. The only thing we can change is the way we perceive things. And what people do not understand is, like, when you were and this is what I wanted to interact with, was when you said something about being religious and you're seeing all these things going down. What if the powers that be have, for 6,000 years, I'll go back, made us believe Revelations, the, all the things that are going down, the apocalypse. What if all that was bullshit from the beginning to make us believe what is being orchestrated right now is literally going down step by step in the playbook? Because they can't do anything without our beliefs.
Without our say-so,
and because they're, like the loosh that they channel, and the fear and the belief system, which is all egregoric. So we believe all this stuff because it's what was written down in the millennia, and that's what most of the masses believe. We are on the verge of an apocalypse. I mean, there's a lot of people that are waking up and knowing better than that. But what if this is all just in a playbook? You know what I mean? And they're using our belief system against us because it's what we believe, and it's all fear-based. So I say that we need to break free from that belief system and start using discernment, because today It is not enough to think about something, and it's good to have critical thinking skills, but you have got to have discernment what that is telling you inside your gut, not what the media is telling you, not what social media, not what Joe over here is talking about, nothing about you, Joe.
I
Joe,
get it.
Joe,
Joe, what are you talking about, Joe? Come on. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. Much more to that interview. There's a lot more to that interview. And if you want to see that, all you have to do is go down in the link below. It's a membership tier called Inside the Eye, and you get any, how will I say this? Any interview over an hour. You guys can go ahead and click on that, $8.99 a month. And of course, all silver membership tier levels and perks will be included. I hope to see you there. Go ahead and sign up. Link in the description below.